She further noted the presence of several slightly emotional friendships among the female campers. Indeed, she told Foster that a few years following her own camp experience, a crisis arose when it turned out that all the little girls were falling in love with each other right and left, causing the staff, on the advice of a psychoanalyst, to close the camp for that summer and start over the following year. The young Elizabeth, known there as Bishy, would continue to attend Camp Chequesset over the course of 6 summers, typically spending July as a camper and August with her boomer grandparents in Nova Scotia. One emotional friendship that the 13-year-old Bishop herself formed during her first year at summer camp was with the girl who had bestowed that unexpected kiss of greeting on her. Louise Bradley was a somewhat older girl, a rising high school junior who was then in her final year at Camp Chequesset. After that first summer together, their friendship would be maintained for more than a decade in the form of frequent letters and much less frequent meetings, a pattern that reappears in many of the numerous epistolary friendships that Bishop would maintain in later life. Camp Chequesset had been selected for her by her uncle Jack Bishop. Elizabeth's grandmother Sarah and her grandfather John W. Bishop died within a few days of each other in 1923. John Bishop left Elizabeth $10,000 in his will. This bequest, combined with the more substantial sum she had inherited from her father, made her an heiress on a minor scale. Her uncle John W. Bishop, Jr., her late father's younger brother, now became her legal guardian, as well as manager of her finances until she came of age. Although Bishop resented her Uncle Jack for the bullying language she had absorbed from him in her grandparents' home, as well as for the emotional distance he displayed toward her in later life, Jack did take his duties as her guardian seriously. And he showed some adroitness at finding supportive placements for his ward, first at summer camp and later at boarding school. These experiences were funded by income from the trusts it was Bishop's good fortune to inherit, and the first fruit of that inheritance was this initial summer at Camp Chequesset. In his detailed exploration, Elizabeth Bishop at Summer Camp, William Logan describes Camp Chequesset as overlooking the shell-fishing fleet in Wellfleet Harbor. The camp stood across the bay from the town pier on some 40 acres of ground once inhabited by Chequesset Indians, whose shell heaps could still be found along the beach. Logan notes that girls at this saltwater camp were expected to excel in swimming and sailing. The counselors kept detailed records of their progress. Campers also learned to chronicle their encounters with nature in lined notebooks, the beginning of Bishop's lifelong habit of writing down her observations and sketching her literary projects in notebook form. Bishop came to be regarded as a strong swimmer and a particularly skilled sailor. Describing the camp's open-ended daily routine, Logan observes, "The girls might sail to Billingsgate Island to dig clams, or take a day trip on the Mouette to Plymouth or Provincetown, where at 14 Bishop discovered a book of George Herbert's poems, or a 3-day cruise through the Cape Cod Canal to Buzzards Bay and Nantucket." Bishop formed a close friendship with Louise Bradley during her first year as a camper. They shared not only an enjoyment of camp life, but a passion for sailing. They also shared a strong interest in poetry and a desire to achieve a career as a poet. Since Bishop's first year at camp was also Bradley's last, Bishop strove to keep the relationship alive by writing letters. Bradley's letters in response to Bishop's do not survive, but Bradley carefully preserved her letters from Bishop, and they now reside in the archives of Wiley House at the University of Indiana. Bishop's first letter to Bradley was written from Great Village in early August 1925. Bishop had completed her second year at camp and was visiting her boomer grandparents. Her first letter to Bradley opens with the announcement that, "I have never been homesick, but just at present I feel awfully camp-sick, and as I know you will understand my feelings, I am going to write to you." She wrote of the inquisitive house in which she was now residing and added, "I have been swimming several times in the lovely red sandstone rock-hole. It is so pretty, for little yellow leaves float all over the top and make little brown and gold shadows on the bottom. I wish I was a fish, sometimes, so I could stay under longer and watch them.